Huh. Oops. Hi, Lisa. Huh. Can you hear me? I can't.
Okay, it was my fault. I've just been talking for ages and nobody could hear me because I was muted. So let's go back to the beginning and I'll say, hey, welcome to episode 8 of Be Fearless. It's our weekly podcast here at Global Speakers Talk. Rookie error, I'm afraid. I do apologize. And today I've got the amazing Christopher Howsen here to talk about his experiences with being fearless and his experiences with fear and moving closer towards that fear and not letting it stop you from following through with something you want to do or something you know you should do. I was saying earlier that Dale Carnegie said that fear is just something that the best way to conquer it is to move towards it and to keep practicing doing that. Exactly. Go to the fear, feel the fear, and to keep practicing. And I think that's very good advice. And interestingly, I found a quote from William Shakespeare also about fear. And he said that extreme fear is neither fight nor flight. And I thought that was interesting too, because absolutely we need to have fear as a natural thing in our life because we have to know whether to fight it or to flight. However, we have got the amazing William Shakespeare telling us, yeah, that if it gets extreme, we can't do either. It's almost like our brain is finding it difficult and wants to flight. But yeah, that's some interesting ideas from Dale and William Shakespeare this morning. But we're on episode 8. I am your host. I'm Lisa Marie. I'm a primary school teacher of 25 years. Now I help people to support their children at home with their learning. And I'm also an illustrator and artist. And my books are coming out in 4 weeks. So I'm very excited about that. And Christopher joined us. Christopher, I'd love for you to introduce yourself to the audience and tell them what you do to help people.
Sure. What I do is I help people reconnect with their purpose. I believe in life, we're all looking for purpose. We're all looking to find ourselves. We're living life, but we don't know why we're living. We need something to drive us, keep us moving forward. So I help people find and reconnect with that drive. What's your purpose? What's your gift? So I help you find that, but first you got to evolve your mindset. So mindset and helping people find their purpose is what I'm about. I want people living on purpose, not living in pain.
That's absolutely amazing. Thank you for that. And I'm sure that there's many people who are extremely grateful because that's a really important thing to do is to find your purpose in life. And I also know that you are fearless and you feel the fear and do it anyway, because I have asked Christopher at the last minute to join me here on this podcast today, and he kindly agreed because I knew that he was a man that had a lot that he could share with us today about being fearless. I've got some questions, if that's okay. Sure. And I wanted to talk about a time when you felt fear in your life that it almost stopped you or did stop you from doing something you wanted to do or something that you knew you should do. Could you tell us about an event that happened in your life?
Sure. There's been many events in my life where I've had to face fear. That's a funny thing. However, there's one moment that I believe best sums it up. Now, there was this moment in life where, as you know, speaking is what I love doing. I love speaking, sharing my story with people, helping lift people up. Now, all throughout my life, I've always had this dream, this burning desire that, you know, I'm going to make it as a speaker. And all my life, I've been put down. I've been put down racially. I've received all sorts of abuse. When you go after your dreams, you know, people are going to criticize you. People are going to judge you. People are going to say, Chris, you don't have what it takes. So many times I got told, Chris, you don't have what it takes. Give up, Chris, you don't have what it takes. And there was a moment where, you know, I was feeling pretty low. And I didn't tell my wife, and it was about my speaking. And I was ready to walk away from my speaking. I was ready to give up on it because I was letting the noise of the outside world penetrate my soul. And I was thinking, you know what? This isn't working for me. I don't have what it takes. And then I met this healer, this wise old man. He wasn't old, a wise young man. His name was G.S.T. And he did a reading on me. And I'll never forget the last words he said at the end, which really showed me something. And he said, Chris, you have a gift. You've been put on this earth for something special. And I said, G.S.T, what is that gift? I don't know that gift. And he said, you don't know it. However, he said, but this is what you've been put on this earth to do. You've been put on this earth to speak. You've been put on this earth to be a speaker, because when you speak, Chris, you inspire people. When you speak, Chris, you move people. People want to hear your words, Chris. And I said, G.S.T, you don't know how close I was to giving that up. You don't know how close I was ready to walk away from the dream, all because I let the outside world get to me. So at that moment when he said that, I realized, well, you know what, Chris, you got to keep fighting. You got to keep going. I remember a movie I watched, Rocky. It said, you've got to, if you want something in life, you got to be prepared to take the hits and keep moving forward. You got to be prepared to take that hit and never give up. In life, we can easily give up. But in that moment, I realized, you know what, Chris, you got to take the hits. You got to keep moving forward. You got to take it one day at a time, one punch at a time, one step at a time. And I realized, you know, if I want it bad enough, I've got to be prepared to endure whatever I've got to endure to make it happen.
Amazing.
So that was a moment for me.
Yeah, sure. So you didn't allow the fear to take over.
No.
You came back and you had that positive injection from someone else that reminded you and brought you back to realizing that no matter how difficult it is, you're going to feel the fear and you're going to go forward and you're going to do this and you're going to deal with whatever comes. That's amazing. And also, you did, as well as getting the confirmation from him that you can do this, you also did a lot of self-talk, didn't you? You mentioned the things that you were saying to yourself, and they were obviously very, very successful, and you were able to do what you were hoping for. My next question is about the strategies that you've used, because I'm sure there's other events as well where you've experienced fear in your life. Can you think of particular ways that you've used to overcome your fear and to move closer towards the fear, like the one you just described? Really,
the strategies I tend to incorporate with, especially with fear, or when people chuck, I always use this line whenever people chuck their garbage at you, because we like to chuck garbage at people. And so the strategies I use is this. The first thing I do is I block out the noise. I block it out by focusing on what I want. We can easily focus on what we don't want. However, that's only going to attract more of what we don't want in life. You see, I've realized life doesn't respond to what it is that you wish for or hope for. Life responds to what it is that you're focusing on in that moment. So I learned that if I'm to get where I want to go in life, we've got to live in the now. So one thing I did is I blocked out the past. The past is already written. I can't change the past. And it doesn't matter what's happened. The past is the past. And I've got to accept the past for what it is, which is the past. And there's no point concentrating on the future because the future isn't written yet. So I don't concentrate on the past, neither do I concentrate on the future. I concentrate on the only moment available to us, which is now. So I can only just concentrate on the now. And I've got to focus on what I want in that now. Because when I focus on what I want, and we've got to focus on positive. I know people will say, Chris, yeah, but so much negativity is happening in this world that all you hear on the news is negative. Yeah, that's all the news wants to do is negative. And it's easy to fall in that trap and focus on the negative because everyone in this world and the world's focusing on it. However, you should never fall in what the world's doing. I've learned you've got to focus on the now and you've got to focus on what you want. You've got to focus on positive things because when you focus on positive things, you attract more things to be positive about into your life. And the universe will pick up on that feeling and it will mirror what you're feeling and say, oh, you're focusing on positive things, Chris. I'm going to give you that. That's one thing I learned through all the fear, through all the pain I've had to endure. Never focus on the negative. It's easy to focus on the negative. I know how easy it is, but we mustn't fall into that trap. We must focus on the positive, focus on what we want. That's the first thing. The second strategy I use, and this is a line I heard about successful people. Successful people don't have the best of everything. Like they don't have all the fancy things. They make the best of what they have. Now, there's a lesson in that I didn't learn for a very long time until I learned this just recently. And I learned that gratitude is the key. If you want to overcome fear, if you want to be fearless, you want to embrace the good things in life, have good things in life, then you got to be grateful for what you have by making the best and the most of what we already have. You see, we've got so many things to be grateful for, so many blessings. Life sends lessons into our life as a blessing. Opportunities are a blessing. We've got so many things to be grateful for, but we choose to look at things as, oh, I don't have this, I don't have that. Go to Bali and so many people are struggling to make ends meet. I went to Bali and that was a wake-up call. Be grateful for what you already have. So that's another thing. You got to have a gratitude attitude. There's no point going through life without a gratitude attitude. That's the second thing. And the third strategy, I've got many strategies I use, but I'll just talk about this third one. And the third and last one I want to say is have a growth mindset. We have a fixed mindset too much. We look at problems and say, oh, why are we having problems? We look at things in life and say, why me, or poor me. Like challenges in life are not to keep us down. Life only gives to us what we can handle. Life knows we're strong and gives us what we can handle. So maybe we need to stop looking at challenges as challenges and look at challenges as blessings and opportunities in ways we can become stronger. And that's how we got to have a growth mindset and be thankful for all the challenges we have. I wouldn't have the strength I have now, if I didn't go through the pain, I've had to enjoy my life.
Yeah.
I have that strength now because I had to have a growth mindset and go through life and be grateful to life and say, thank you, life, for the challenges you gave me. And that's the third thing, have a growth mindset, not a fixed one.
That's such a strong thread, Christopher, that's going through all of our guests on Be Fearless, is that, growing to
Mm,
the point where you can work through the fear has made them who they are. And it's about not seeing mistakes as a bad thing and
yeah.
becoming that strong person who's able to be more resilient when it comes to fear because of what you've experienced and because of what you've done. So let's just highlight, you've got those three strategies, which are amazing. The first one is to visualize the now. The second one is about, remind me again what the second one, in
The
a
second
couple of
one
words.
was just being grateful for what you have.
Grateful for what you have, and gratitude cannot be underestimated.
Mm,
Absolutely. And the third one, of course, is to have a good growth mindset. All of those are
yeah.
wonderful advice. And also what I noticed from the first thing that you said as well, it's so interesting how when we hear negative things, sometimes the brain is inclined to hear those and
Mm,
and witter away all the positive stuff and focus on
yeah.
that negative. And I think you're right that if you can have a much more positive attitude towards everything that's said to you, you can sometimes see
Mm,
different meaning, because
true.
often as human beings, communication is a complicated thing, and body language, even words, written or spoken, can be very much misinterpreted, particularly in text messages. And then you've got the situation where if you've got that negative thought already, you might read it in a certain way, and it was never meant in that way. The intention was not coming through that way. So I think that's a very good point as well. And sometimes we're fearful of what people think, and it makes us see things that aren't there, you know?
That's true.
And I think it's good to be very positive. I think those are great strategies, and you clearly adopt them in your life and make them work for you. And I hope they're helpful to some of our listeners. So I want to ask you now, Christopher, if you have some current fears that you're overcoming, or that you're working through, or that you're taking steps to work towards at the moment.
To be honest, I don't really have any fears because kind of how I look at life is I kind of avoid that word fear out of my vocabulary. There's certain words I'll use and there's certain words I don't use. And fear is one thing I don't use because I don't believe life is to live life with fear. So I believe how I look at it is I look at challenges. I always word it as, okay, what challenges in my life can help me to grow? So I would say one challenge right now that I feel is a good challenge that's been helping me to grow is, for example, these TEDx practice talks we're doing. Like I'm so used to talking to guys and doing motivational. Like this is a change for me where majority of the group is women. So I'm having to change my style. So it's forcing me to grow. And again, I've had to incorporate that growth mindset. And, I could have easily said, oh, I've done speaking a lot. I don't need to do this, but I always know learning is lifelong. There's no start date, there's no end date. There's always opportunities to learn in life. Like learning is endless. You never stop learning in life. So right now, this TEDx practice talk I'm doing, like that's good practice for me. And doing it over Zoom, like that's different for me as well. So I'm so used to doing it on stage and talking in front of people that this is a kind of a stretch for me.
Yeah.
So that's one. And always, and probably a second challenge or stretch is, I think the biggest one is never giving up on your dreams. We all have dreams, and I feel like we become a microwave society where we focus on things and we want things to happen now. And we don't realize that you got to trust the process. You got to trust the journey. You got to trust the universe and know that it will work out in due time. What you're seeking will seek you, and it will arrive to you when the moment's right. So right now is my speaking is never giving up on that dream. It's like keep pursuing it every single day. Keep pushing yourself when you're tired. Because with speaking, it's easy to say, oh, you know, it's taking long. I don't think I'm at where I'm at. You know, I want to give up. You know, that's the big one, where keep going with your dreams. But a lot of people get deterred and say, you know what, oh, I'm not seeing the results now, Chris. I'm not seeing it instantly. And that's because society has done too much instant gratification, too much, oh, I want it now, I want it now. No, there's a reason life is called a journey, because we have to enjoy the journey to arrive at the destination. And Les Brown said it best. He said, it doesn't matter the destination. What matters is the person you become as a result of the journey. I would say right now, the biggest challenge is constantly pursuing my speaking and evolving as a result of the journey. Keep going with the speaking, because it's easy for me to, I could, if I'm not seeing the results, I could say I want to give up. And so many people in life give up on their dreams. I think the main challenge I want to say is, because I want to remind people, go after your dreams. It doesn't matter how long it takes. If it takes you long to get you there, then be it. It was meant to happen. Just please go after your dreams. Never give up. Be like KFC. He never gave up, Colonel Sanders. And he was told he was too old. I think the biggest one right now is going after the dreams and keep inspiring people to do the same.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's interesting is you say you don't feel fear, because what you do is, when fear comes in, because it is natural, we all experience it, you don't even notice it because you've pushed it out, because you already have these strategies. You're not going to let fear be anything in your sphere, in your, in your area. And so, fear is normal. We're human. And, some people are probably going to be very tuned into it still, and are going to feel that, and are going to have to talk themselves through why it's important. And I think what you're saying is never give up on your dreams. The main reason why you have dreams, there's a reason behind them. There's a very important why. Why do I have this dream? Why is it important to me? What's the transformation in my life going to be? Who's it going to affect apart from me? And what's it going to look like? And once you know that, and you have that very, very strong why, then that's the reason to go for your dreams. And if it's that strong, and if you keep it with you every day, in all of your, at the forefront of your mind, then you are going to be able to push through fear to get yourself there. Like you said, don't stop going for your dreams. Don't give up, because there are so many people that we know have been rejected, don't we? And then they've gone on to be super successful. How many no's did all of these successful people get? They didn't bother counting. They just kept going. And it's very inspirational. And it tells us that, don't be one of that one, that small percentage of don't be that percentage of businesses that fail early on at the startup. Be that small percentage that never give up and keep pushing through and make it to where you want to be, and that's just an example in business. But, if you want to be a public speaker like you do, yes, you could say, oh, I don't need to practice. We could all say that. But at the end of the day, it's like you say about learning. We're lifelong learners. So we always need to practice our craft, and we can always get feedback from other people and learn something new every time we do it. I'm sure when you've spoken on the stage, you've found that you can get a little bit of feedback from someone that you think, oh, I never thought about that before. Or you might have said something in your talk that you didn't mention before, and they picked up on it, and you're like, yeah, I really need to make sure I mention that every time. So it's always learning. So the more you push through your fear and go towards the things that do worry you, the more, I think, happiness you're going to find. I don't say happiness, I think more joy in the feeling that you can learn, you can grow. It's not going to feel comfortable, but in time, it could feel comfortable. Look at you, you've been doing it a long time now, and you're quite comfortable to say that you're not experiencing fear, which is amazing. And you're an inspiration to say, you know, I can be like that, you know, to other people who are thinking, oh gosh, I can't imagine not feeling fear. But it's possible. And you've already given us some great, like, golden nuggets today. Thank you, Christopher. I was going to say this morning, but of course you're over there, the other side of the world, so it's your evening, isn't it?
Yes.
But I wanted to say to you, I wanted to ask you about what the transformation is, what it looks like in your life when you do become fearless, or as close to being fearless as you possibly could be.
What it would look like in my life.
What do you think people can expect to see the transformation? You know, living more fearlessly like you do, like, what is the difference?
The difference will be, to me, because I'm always working with energy, because as you know, I'm into mindset, I'm always into evolving energy. I like all that deep stuff. And to me, the transformation I see is my energy will be a lot stronger. Like it's strong now. However, I intend to take it to a very high and deep level. So my energy will be stronger. My light will shine brighter. I intend to use my life to touch as many lives as I can. You see, if you ask me what living is to me, what life is to me, in the past, I would have said it's about me. It's about what material things I can get, what fancy title, the house. I would say before, I would have said it's about me. But if you ask me what life is for me now, life isn't about me. Life is about how many people I can serve, how many people I can help. My transformation you're asking, that's the transformation I see, is how many people's lives I can touch. You see, when you've been at the lowest, I've hit many low lives, many dark moments in my life. And I've learned a valuable lesson. I once asked someone, or I had a conversation with someone, and we were talking about what is the highest value of humanity? What is the highest value of being a human? What is the highest value of life itself? And I've realized that the highest value of life is service. So my transformation is my life, how many people I can serve, how many people I can touch. I know there's a lot of people out there hurting. I know there's a lot of people out there running away from fear, being deterred from going after their dreams. My transformation is I want to be a voice and light of hope to people in the darkest times. I want to be an example to people and show people you can be anything you want to be. My transformation, truly from my heart, is how many people I can serve, how many lives I can touch, because at the end of it, my life is how many people have I helped? Because when my time's up and I get asked, what did I do in my life? I want to hold my head up high, and I want to say that, you know what, I did the best I could and I helped as many people as I can. And this is what I want other people realize. Let's help each other, because life is about helping one another through whatever obstacles they're facing. So my transformation is the smile I see on the people's lives that I touched. That's because them smiling is more than money itself, because I'm not doing this for money. I'm doing this because I want to help people. And I've been put on this earth to help people. And that's my transformation, seeing people at the darkest moment in their life saying to me, Chris, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here. That's what I want to see. That's the legacy I want to leave.
And I want to touch on what you just said, because you said you want to hear people say, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here. And I want to put to you, if it wasn't for you making that step to start to be more fearless and not let those fears creep in, you wouldn't be where you are today, able to help people. So the message you're giving is inspirational to those who are holding back and not going towards their fears, because look what, you know, by dealing with those fears and moving towards them and taking them on courageously, what it can impact on your life and what difference it can make, and what the transformation can be, that you can do things that you perhaps never imagined you could do or never dreamed you could, or you'll be able to do those things that you thought you were only dreaming of. So yeah, that's great. And I hope that people have got that message at home. And then you've given us so much, as I said, but finally, if you had somebody now, for example, if it was me and I said to you that I can't stop the fear from stopping me from moving forward and doing this thing that I really want to do, because I know this is going to change my life, but I just can't make that step. I'm too scared of what people are going to say. I'm too frightened of rejection. I'm too concerned. So I'm just not going to do it. I'm going to stay in my safe space. And I just can't do it. I don't know what you can say to me to make me feel better. Obviously that's not really me, but we'll pretend.
Okay. So your question is what advice would I give?
Yeah. If somebody says these things to you.
Yeah. The best advice I would give someone is, there's a technique I learned. So when people come to me with that, from that space, I know they're stuck in the emotion. So I need to rise them above the emotion. So what I would normally do is I would ask them to remember a time. I would ask them to remember a time where they did something that they were completely written off, that they were told they had no chance, that people put them down left, right, and center. I'll get someone to go there and I'll say, can you remember the feelings of that time where everybody wrote you off and you prevailed like a champion? I'll get them to go there. So that's the first thing I'll say. However, the second thing I would say, and this is really, you talked about having a powerful why. One thing that has really served me, that has been my rocket, and I think if it wasn't for this, I wouldn't be speaking in front of you now. I wouldn't be here anymore, in all honesty. But my why is what drove me. And my why is, when I was nearly homeless, when my wife looked at me in the eyes. And you see, I'm a man of my word, Lisa. And so when I gave my word, it stays given. I gave my word to my wife, I would look after her. And in that moment, I saw the pain in her eyes. Now, if you ask me, what would you want to see that again? I would say no. That hurt me too much. And that's what keeps me going, is having that powerful why, where I never ever want to see that in my wife's eyes ever again. So the second thing I would do with someone is I would ask them to tell me a powerful why. A why bigger than themselves. You see, I've learned the greatest motivator isn't money. It's funny, that's actually the worst one. And you would think it isn't. It actually is. But I would get someone to think of a bigger reason than themselves. Actually, I'll share with you a story with that. I remember there was a boxer, Buster Douglas. Now, everyone read him off. Everyone said he's a joke, he's got no chance in the world. Now, he was fighting Mike Tyson, and Mike Tyson was knocking everyone out left, right, and center, and he was unbeatable. Now, Mike Tyson was fighting Buster Douglas, and everyone said, oh, Buster's got no chance. And when the fight happened, Mike Tyson knocked him down. And everyone thought, oh no, Buster's gone. He's out, he's done. But Buster rose up and he knocked Mike Tyson out. And everyone was in shock and said, oh my God, I don't believe this. The champ's down. And they went to Buster and they said, Buster, how did you do it? And he said, a couple of days before the fight, my grandmother had told everyone I was going to knock Mike Tyson out. And he said, a couple of days before the fight, my grandmother died. And he said, I owed it to her to honor her word. So he said, I didn't do this for me, I did it for my grandmother. So that's what I would do with someone. I would say, you're just like Buster Douglas, everyone's writing you off. So what's your why? Bigger than yourself that will keep you going. And I'm pretty sure if I do those two things with someone that's in that space, I'll see a Buster Douglas in them too.
That's a really strong why he had. My goodness, absolutely incredible story. That's great. Thanks for sharing that with us. Also, I think it's important to say, you know, I gave you an example of someone that's struggling with the fear, but I have been that person. Although I said it's not me generally now, I have been that person. Now I would like to think that I am a person that does move towards my fears, but I'm not perfect. And I still sometimes procrastinate and I still find it very difficult. I still do experience fears that hold me back somewhat. And I think it's important that people know that there's levels of how much you've been able to move towards your fear. So you're quite practiced at it now and you've become very strong. So you're like at the top, you know, level of being able to be fearless. I would say I'm fearless in many situations. However, you know, I'm human and I do think that I have the capacity to allow fear to spend too much time on my mind, let's say. And I'm sure I'm like many people out there. And if you are like that, then just know that that in itself, again, is not a negative, because that's being human. I mean, we are made that way. We're expected, our brain's telling us to be fearful. And it doesn't know whether it's really true or whether it's not true. So I would ask myself, is this fear real? You know, is there a saber-toothed tiger coming at me? Like, you know, in the Stone Age when it was important to have fear, let's face it. But no, this is not something that's going to be really detrimental to my health or to my family or to my existence. But I just need to move through it and do it. And as long as it's not dangerous, then you can usually ask yourself questions and we'll work through that. Absolutely. Well, Chris, I'm afraid we've run out of time today, but I would love for you to come back and share with us again sometime. And I'm so grateful for you for stepping in today.
That's okay. My pleasure.
I really appreciate that. And it's been a wonderful, wonderful episode. So thank you for all the wisdom that you've shared. And we'll put your details in the comments. So if anyone wants to get in touch with you, they will be able to. Okay.
Sure.
And I want to say thank you to everyone for joining us again today. I apologize for the late start. I also apologize for the fact that we didn't have our published guest today. And hopefully we'll be able to invite him back at another time. And I apologize for not having my speaker on at the beginning. Oh my goodness. But you know, we got there in the end, and thank you for persevering. So if you watch the replay, please put #replay. And we will all look forward to seeing you next Tuesday for another Be Fearless podcast, episode 9, with a new special guest telling us about their thoughts around the issue of being fearless. Thank you, Christopher, and thank you to everybody watching at home and listening. Okay.
Thank you, Lisa.
Take care, everyone.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye.